Guys, I've been reading Atonement for the past few days. I'm actually like almost 250 pages in, but I haven't made an update. I'm at the end of part 2 and I literally have 1 page left in part 2 and I think something really bad is about to happen. Okay, so I don't know if the bad thing happened or not. I feel like it has to happen. Okay, just finished part 2. I don't know if what I'm thinking actually happened. Seems like in part 3, we're shifting back to Brioni's point of view. And let's just talk about this for a second because I have not filmed any updates and I only have, I think, 100 pages left. This is so good. I haven't watched the movie. I didn't know too much about this before going into it other than something really horrible happens and it's super sad. Basically, we have the Tallis family. We have Brioni. She is 13 years old. We have Cecilia, who just finished college. They're sisters. And then we have Robbie, who is kind of like the servant's son to the Tallis family. In part 1, we really go in depth on primarily these 3 characters. We do go into the mom's point of view, Emily Tallis. We get a good sense of Leon Tallis, who is Brioni and Cecilia's brother. We don't see too much of the dad, but he's not very present in the family. We start off where the Tallis' cousins move in with them. We have Lola and then her 2 brothers. And Brioni, she is super into writing plays, fiction. She's kind of on like this cusp of childhood and transitioning into being a teenager, understanding more adult things. Then we have Cecilia and Robbie. They actually went to college in Cambridge together, but they never really talked, even though they grew up being super close, really great friends. But in college, they drifted apart. They never really spoke, and things were actually getting really tense between them because the father of the Tallis family was actually paying for Robbie's education. Now Robbie wants to go to medical school. He's just acting weird, and it's pissing Cecilia off, and they have this moment outside by the fountain where they're fighting over this really old vase. They end up breaking it and part of it lands in a fountain and Cecilia strips down to her underwear, grabs the broken pieces that land in the vase, puts her clothes back on, and walks away. And this is kind of where like there's a shift between Cecilia and Robbie. Robbie realizes that he loves her and he's trying to figure out how to like apologize and how to confess his feelings to her. And he writes 2 letters. One of them is really steamy. I'm not gonna say what it says because honestly I read it and my mouth just dropped. I was like, oh my God. And he's of course like, no, I can't give her that. Writes a second version of the letter, basically apologizing and telling her that he loves her. And when he goes to put the letter in the envelope, he picks the wrong one, which is the steamy one. And as he's approaching the house, he runs into Brioni and is like, hey, can you bring this letter to your sister Cecilia? Brioni goes and reads the letter and has a very vulgar impression of Robbie from there on out. But Brioni does deliver the letter to Cecilia. Cecilia and Robbie, honestly, they get down in the library and Brioni catches them. Doesn't really understand what's going on in the library. She thinks Robbie is attacking Cecilia when that's just not the case. Everyone's sitting down to dinner and everyone's just very tense. Robbie and Cecilia don't know if Brioni's gonna tell on them. They're trying to remain normal and we're in Robbie's perspective and he's like, okay, let's just get through dinner and then I can go be alone with Cecilia and we can talk and we can figure things out. But then towards the end of the dinner, the twins, they ask to be excused and they leave a letter saying they ran away. Everyone is freaking out because the twins ran away and this kind of takes center stage and everyone goes outside to go look for the twins. Cecilia goes off with her brother Leon to look. Brioni's alone. Robbie's alone, and there's like another group of friends at dinner who are also looking. We're in Brioni's perspective at this point, and she's searching the grounds, and she finds her cousin Lola, who's also a teenager. I think she's like 16, having something really bad happen to her outside. I didn't know this was like in the book. I genuinely didn't. Probably look up trigger warnings before you read this, but Brioni finds Lola and a man doing bad things to her, and she automatically assumes that it's Robbie. She tells everyone it's Robbie. She blames him, and it wasn't him, but it's her word against his, and Lola didn't actually see who it was, so Brioni's the only one who can really say, oh, I saw him do it. It's written so well because she doesn't want to go back on her word, and as she keeps saying, I saw him, she starts to believe it. That's kind of how the first part ends, and then the second part, we're really just with Robbie. He was sent to prison for 3 years. Now he's in the army during World War II. And it's just so sad and so horrible. And him and Cecilia, they're still writing letters back and forth to each other. They're still in contact. Although now that he's like on the ground, there's really no way for them to communicate. Cecilia, she left home. She doesn't talk to anyone in her family. Cecilia and Robbie are really just waiting for them to be together again. And that's what's carrying Robbie through being in war. But the second part just ended, and oh my gosh, I feel like something really bad is going to happen to him, or already did. I'm about to start part 3, and I just kind of skimmed the first page, and it seems like we're going to be in Brioni's point of view as she's, I guess, a young adult. I'm going to keep reading this. I'm going to try and finish it today. I do have about 100 pages left, but I'm loving this. The writing is so great, and I really love, especially in the first part, all the descriptions of just heat and hot weather. I know McGowan used like baked earth, dry grass, white hot. Like, I just really love it for some reason. His writing is so good, and I've really become attached to these characters, which I feel like doesn't happen for me too often, but I really just want Cecilia and Robbie to have their happy ending, but I really don't think they do. I think this is gonna break my heart by the end of it, but I'll come back when I finish this book. Guys, I finished Atonement earlier today, so I don't want to spoil anything, but I really was not expecting the twist at the end. That really got me, and I'm still kind of processing it. So we have part 3, which is in Brioni's perspective. She's now a nurse at an emergency hospital, and she's not fully mature. She's older, and she realizes, not to a full extent, but she knows what she did was wrong regarding Robbie, Cecilia, and this is kind of her way to try and distance herself a bit from her family, to try and atone for what she did. And I think she does gain some perspective. I mean, she's tending these World War II soldiers who have their face blown off or are literally dying, and she has to talk to them and like try to make them feel like less alone in their last hours. And then it's not part 4, it's just like about 20 pages at the end of the book. We're in London in 1999, and Brioni is now 77, and it's her birthday. And there's a family reunion at her parents' house, which is now a hotel. The grandkids performed a play that she wrote for herself, Lola, Jackson, Pierrot, the other twin, and it's really heartwarming. But the last page, after reading part 3 and feeling some sort of peace, and then you read the last page and you're like, this girl is just still writing stories. I thought this was beautifully written. It was so well done. I really feel attached to these characters, which I think I mentioned earlier. That's not something I really feel too often. So I think this was beautifully done. If you really want to read a sad book, read this. If you want to read about heartache and family betrayal and regret and guilt, this is for you. But I would look up trigger warnings before reading it. But after this, I don't want anything war related. I want something lighter, but to be honest, I don't think I really have anything lighter. So let's go and take a look at what I have. Okay, so I have about 2 options, and they are Roadside Picnic by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky. This is a Russian sci-fi novel. This is about 200 pages, and it was published in 1972. Some fun elements in here. I don't really know too much of what to expect, but I think it's gonna be a good one. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards this. But then I have this book that I've been wanting to read for so long, and it's called ThePossessed by Witold Gombrowicz. This follows the structure of a gothic novel, but it takes place in Poland. It's written by a Polish author. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this one. I've been wanting to read this and get my hands on this book for so long, but it's a little thick. It is 417 pages, and I think it was published in the 1930s. Yeah, it was published in 1939, so it might take a bit more brain power, but this seems so fun. And I don't know, how can I pick? But I guess I'll somehow choose, and I'll come back when I start reading and have an update for you guys. My hair is crazy today. Today is Sunday, and I haven't actually chatted with you in a while. So a few days ago, I started ThePossessed by Witold Gombrowicz, and I'm actually loving it so much. I'm about 45% into this book, and it is just so good. And I don't even know where to begin with this book because there's so much happening. There's so many characters. We begin the book with Mr. Leschuk, and he is a tennis coach. He's going to the countryside to coach Maya. She is a professional tennis player, and from the start, they're just super similar in how they play tennis, in their mannerisms, in their facial expressions, in the words that they say. One of the first people to notice is Maya's fiance, Mr. Cholowicki, and also all these names are Polish names, so I apologize if I'm not pronouncing them correctly. But Maya is engaged to Mr. Cholowicki, who, let's be real, he just sucks. But Maya is engaged to him for the money, not for love. Mr. Cholowicki is a secretary to a prince, so he's bound to inherit a large fortune. By Maya's house, there's this giant forest, and there's the prince's castle where the prince, Mr. Cholowicki, and this, I guess, housekeeper, where the 3 of them live, and no one's allowed to go into the house. But of course, people go into the house, starting with Maya, who Cholowicki invites because he's noticing this like weird connection between Maya and Leschuk, and he worries he's gonna lose Maya, and they're just having issues. And then Maya and Mr. Leschuk, they at this point are not romantically involved. They're actually in like this very intense state of hatred, which this is a gothic novel. If you've read Wuthering Heights, we know where the hatred leads. That's kind of happening, and Maya's in the castle, and then there's also this professor staying at Maya's house, Mr. Skolinsky, and he is there because he believes there's very expensive art, furniture in there, and he wants to go check it out and see what's there. He eventually makes his way into the castle, and we're very much kind of in his perspective right now. Mr. Cholowicki gets air that he wants to stay the night, so he tries to like hide all of the good art and invite Mr. Skolinsky there and put him in the haunted room, which is the old kitchen. Mr. Skolinsky kind of stayed in that room overnight. He saw this kitchen towel that is just like quivering on its own constantly. We kind of were in his head as he was starting to go crazy from being in this haunted room. He escapes overnight and he runs into the prince, who the prince does not talk to anyone except Mr. Cholowicki. He's very much a madman, he's very weak, but Mr. Skolinsky finds out that this room is haunted, and overnight he switches rooms so he can go to bed, and then in the morning he goes back into the haunted room and pretends he's good. He didn't go crazy, everything is good. And Gregorz, who is like the only worker in the house and has been there forever, he is so impressed by Mr. Skolinsky surviving the night, not going crazy, that he tells Mr. Skolinsky the whole backstory of the prince and his son and how the room kind of came to be haunted. And there is a picture of the prince's son, and he kind of looks like Leschuk, the tennis coach. So that's kind of like a storyline getting connected, and it's just super fun. It's not overly scary or creepy. I think it's kind of funny that this kitchen towel is haunted. It's such a random object, but I really am enjoying it. I'm so interested to see where Leschuk and Maya's relationship goes. I'm excited to see their hatred turn into a passionate love story. I am excited to see more about the castle. That's my update for now. I really am enjoying this. The writing is great. I'm excited to keep reading this later tonight, but for right now, I'm gonna make dinner. It's about 5 o'clock, and I'll see you guys when I have an update. It's now Wednesday, actually, and I just finished ThePossessed. I absolutely loved this. Basically, this all surrounds this towel in an old kitchen room in the prince's castle. A lot of our characters end up here either by accident or on purpose, and there is just this towel that's hanging off like a little lever, and it's just quivering, it's moving, and whoever is in this room just starts to go insane. We also have the prince, who's a much like older guy, and he is just off his rocker. He's like the mad prince stereotype. We have like that going on. We don't know why this is happening. We don't know why the room is haunted. We just know that the prince doesn't want to go in the room, and he is looking for his son, and so much is like tied into it. Like Maya and Leschuk have this weird connection of likeness, which the book refers to it a lot, but it's just in nature and in mannerisms they're very similar. And honestly, I thought we were going to get more of a love story out of those two, but we really didn't. If you're hoping for a Wuthering Heights type of gothic romance, this is not it. There's no romance. They don't even kiss. Like, they go from pure hate to more of like understanding and trust of each other. And I think by the end, they might be together, but it's never actually stated. But there is no actual romance scenes between the two. So if you are looking for that, it's not in this book. We also have this clairvoyant come in like the last 100 pages of the book. I do like him, and I like what he added to the story. I just felt that it was a bit random. I couldn't tell sometimes if this was supposed to be a satire on the Gothic novel because the towel situation was just weird. Out of all the things that could be haunted, you're gonna pick a towel. But it is kind of explained in the end. We figure out everything that happened between the prince and his son. I don't want to spoil anything for you, so I'm not going to, but it does wrap up very nicely in the end. Really love this, really recommend it. If this sounds interesting to you at all, you should read it. Now that I've finished The Possessed, I really want to read something about the ocean or sea life. I don't know why, it's just been, I don't know, something that I want to read. Probably because this was just so dark and gloomy, and it's so bright and sunny today, and I kind of just want to go to the beach. I do have a few books that I kind of want to read. Let me go get one. I have like 3 or 4 books that I want to read. I only have one of them physically, and that is My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. Now, I know this takes place in Italy, and on the cover, they're like by water or a beach or something. This doesn't really fit what I'm looking for, but I do think it's summery and by the beach, or at least by water, and I have it, so that's why it's on the list. One that I don't have that I really want to read, but I don't think I'm gonna pick, is Playground by Richard Powers. So I read the overstory maybe like 2 months ago now, and I absolutely loved it. It's just all about trees, so much about trees, and Playground is his newest release. And I think it's a kind of similar vibe, but instead of being about trees, it's about the ocean. And I want to read it so bad. But what's stopping me is I do want to finish this last book in this video. And I don't want to try and rush through Playground because Richard Powers, his writing, it's so good, but it's so dense. And honestly, I don't think I could make it through. And again, I don't want to rush through it just so I can add it to this video. I had to move spots because the bus stop is right in front of my house, and I really didn't need a bunch of moms watching me film. The third book that I'm interested in reading is called Remarkably Bright Creatures. This sounds so interesting. I actually discovered it through Barnes & Noble. They sent me an email about it. I think it's their May book club pick. And it's about this elderly woman who starts to work at an aquarium as a janitor after her husband dies, and she befriends an octopus. I don't think I've ever read a book like this at all, and I kind of want to. It's also like a multi-POV story, and we do get the perspective of the octopus. So that is something that I want to read, but I did look it up on Goodreads just because I never heard of it, and some of the lower rated reviews of this book were because of her writing style, which y'all know, if it's bad writing, I can't read it. But I still think I'm gonna give it a go because I want to see the perspective of this octopus. We'll see which one I pick in the next clip, but let me know if there are any books about the ocean or the sea that's not like about pirates that you enjoy. I don't know why, I'm just not interested in pirates. Also, Moby Dick crossed my mind, but I'm not reading the whale book right now. I'm not doing it. I want something fun. Good morning, guys. Yesterday I finished Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt, and I'm not even gonna lie, this book broke me. I have not sobbed at a book, I don't think ever. Maybe like Harry Potter in middle school had me crying like this, but I don't know. I really enjoyed this book. I rated it for maybe even 4.5 stars, but I do think that rating is because this book just felt very personal to me. I'm very sensitive when it comes to animals, and we start off this book with Marcellus's perspective, Marcellus is the octopus in this story, and we start off knowing he's close to the end of his lifespan. That whole plot line just really got to me. But we have three perspectives in this book. We have Marcellus, we have Tova, who is an elderly woman. She is the janitor at the aquarium where Marcellus lives. And we have Cameron, who I didn't really like him. I liked his storyline, but he is actually Tova's grandson. And I don't think that's a spoiler. I think this book overall has a very predictable storyline. But with that being said, I really enjoyed how it was written actually. It wasn't overly stylized. It wasn't trying to be too much. I really like the story, if I'm being honest. So yeah, we have Cameron, and Tova and Cameron don't know they're related. Tova's son died when he was 18, and her son got this other girl, Daphne, in high school pregnant. They had Cameron, and Daphne left Cameron with her sister when Cameron was 9, and he never told her sister who the father was. We spend most of the book just waiting for them to actually meet, find out that they're related, and Marcellus is actually a big part of helping them discover that, which is just so heartwarming. I don't know, it's such an odd story. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was so touching. I don't think it was poorly written. I don't think it was overly dry either. Those are some of the critiques I've seen on like Goodreads or Fable. I had a great time with it. I loved Tova's character. She's everything I want to be when I'm older. She's strong, but also really kind. She's been through a lot. As I said, her son died when he was 18, and she never really found out what happened to him. Her husband died a few years ago, and her brother dies at the beginning of this book, and a lot of the book is her just wondering what's gonna happen to her. She wants to sell her house where she grew up and where she still lives because she knows she has no one to take care of her, so she wants to move into a retirement home. Meanwhile, her friends either still have family, whether it's their husbands are still alive, they have children, they just have family to be with in their old age, while Tova doesn't, and that truly made me so sad. And she really befriends Marcellus, and just, I don't know, their friendship just, I could literally cry about it now. My eyes are actually so puffy from crying last night. It's ridiculous. I almost DNF'd this book because I didn't think I could read it, but it actually did have somewhat of a happy ending. I didn't love Cameron. I thought he was very immature for a 30-year-old. He kind of does start to get his life together towards the end of the book. I also didn't really enjoy his romance situation with Avery. I felt like it just happened so fast. I didn't like how he described her. It was just kind of weird, but I really, really enjoyed this book. It left a big impression on me, and honestly, I'd recommend it. But with all that being said, that is the end of this mood reading video. I hope you liked it. I hope you discovered some new books. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these or are planning to. I'd love to know. And if you've gotten to this point, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.